Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and today we're exploring why so many people end up on multiple medications without actually getting healthier. We'll be examining the symptom-centered model of conventional medicine, based on insights from Dr. Mercola's article about how modern medicine often fixes symptoms rather than addressing underlying cellular and metabolic dysfunction.
I'm Alara Skye, and I'm glad to be here. This conversation is important because nearly half of all adults in the United States are taking at least one prescription drug each month. More concerning is that nearly 13.5% take 5 or more medications. That level of polypharmacy can create a situation where side effects begin to outweigh any potential benefits.
Let's start by discussing the main point from Dr. Mercola's analysis. The rising rates of chronic illness are undeniable. Heart disease, diabetes, and autoimmune conditions continue to climb. Yet, at the same time, prescription drug use remains high. From his perspective, the problem is that most healthcare addresses symptoms, but rarely fixes the root causes of disease, which often lie in metabolic dysfunction at the cellular level.
That's right, Ethan. A prime example is the reliance on prescription drugs like statins, insulin, and antidepressants. These medications may reduce a particular symptom, lower cholesterol, lower blood sugar, or influence mood chemistry, but they don't truly resolve the metabolic imbalances. Meanwhile, the person taking these drugs often experiences side effects, requiring yet another prescription to counteract the new set of problems.
Dr. Mercola highlights the idea that your body doesn't randomly produce too much cholesterol or lose the ability to regulate blood sugar. Those problems are typically signs of deeper metabolic dysfunction. Rather than investigating what's out of balance at a foundational level, doctors frequently prescribe medication to manage the surface issue. That might offer short-term relief, but it doesn't lead to lasting health.
True. Take statins, for example. They lower cholesterol levels, but cholesterol itself isn't the fundamental cause of heart disease. In many cases, cholesterol rises as a response to injury or inflammation within the arterial walls. Factors like poor diet, toxins, smoking, and stress can damage blood vessels. Cholesterol then shows up as part of the repair process. Without addressing those deeper causes, simply lowering cholesterol may not prevent heart disease and might even introduce new risks.
And it's similar with insulin for type 2 diabetes. If your body is insulin resistant, adding more insulin only forces glucose out of the bloodstream. It doesn't correct the insulin resistance itself. Over the long run, that can worsen issues like weight gain and metabolic imbalance. You see the same principle with antidepressants. Many individuals are prescribed these drugs for mild or situational depression, and the underlying stressors or nutritional deficiencies remain unaddressed.
Exactly. This pattern leads to an over-reliance on medication. Even drugs for heartburn, known as proton pump inhibitors, often worsen the real issue. Contrary to popular belief, heartburn commonly results from too little stomach acid rather than too much. By further suppressing stomach acid, these medications can increase the likelihood of poor digestion and nutrient deficiencies, all while creating a rebound effect that makes the original reflux feel worse if you stop taking them.
Dr. Mercola's article points out that if medications truly prevented disease, then chronic illness rates would be declining. But that's not happening. Rates of diseases like diabetes and heart disease have grown, despite the surge in prescription use. It reveals an important truth. Long-term healing can't be achieved by masking symptoms.
It's also worth highlighting that the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports nearly 1 billion medications are dispensed or prescribed annually. Polypharmacy, or taking multiple medications at once, can create an endless cycle. You start with one drug, develop side effects, add another to address those side effects, and so on. This sequence can spiral until you're on 5 or more prescriptions.
From there, patients run into issues with drug interactions. One medication can amplify or negate the effect of another, leading to serious health complications. As side effects pile up, it becomes difficult to pinpoint which drug is causing which problem. Some patients feel trapped because stopping one medication might cause withdrawal symptoms or a rebound effect, making it seem safer to stay on everything indefinitely.
It's common for doctors not to reevaluate these medications once they've been prescribed. Dr. Mercola points out that a patient might keep taking them for years, even if the initial condition improves or was misdiagnosed. One of the key messages is that these prescriptions are often treated as permanent solutions, rather than short-term aids to help the body rebalance.
The article offers real examples that illustrate this situation. One of them is Dora, a 79-year-old woman diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. She experienced uncontrollable shaking and head bobbing, but her symptoms were reversed when she stopped several medications that turned out to be inducing those symptoms in the first place. Without a thorough review of her prescriptions, she might have believed she had an irreversible condition.
Another is Nayla, who was given oxycodone for pain after a fracture. Even after she recovered, she was placed on a long-term pain management plan involving the same opioid. Only when her daughter intervened and asked the doctor to review all of her medications did they realize that many of them were no longer necessary. Nyla was able to discontinue almost everything except one drug and regained her health.
And then there's Rahul, who had multiple prescriptions for high blood pressure, diabetes, and cholesterol. His case is a reminder that poor monitoring and overprescription can lead to dangerous scenarios. He was taking different medications at the wrong dosages or in ways that reduce their effectiveness. The underlying issues causing his high blood pressure and diabetes were never properly addressed. Instead, he was given a stack of prescriptions that complicated each other.
These personal accounts show a consistent pattern. Individuals can end up on multiple drugs, rarely reassessed, and dealing with side effects that mimic new illnesses. It's a loop. A patient gets a diagnosis, a drug is prescribed, and then more drugs get added. Doctors may be well-intentioned, but the system often prioritizes quick fixes over identifying root causes and restoring true cellular health.
Dr. Mercola's core message is that modern healthcare, with its symptom-focused approach, has failed to reverse chronic illness trends. Instead of healing, there's ongoing management of symptoms with drugs and procedures. This is why you see so many people who take medications, yet their health continues to decline.
Shifting away from that model involves looking at our bodies as interconnected systems. Everything ties back to cellular health and metabolic balance. For instance, if your cells have the energy they need, your body is better equipped to heal and regulate itself. If that cellular energy is compromised, disease sets in. Most conventional treatments center on suppressing symptoms, not optimizing cellular function.
One of Dr. Mercola's key points is that we should be more proactive and question the necessity of each medication. Instead of automatically accepting a prescription, he encourages patients to ask if the underlying imbalance can be corrected through lifestyle changes, nutritional adjustments, movement, stress reduction, and quality sleep. When those factors improve, prescriptions may no longer be needed or can be minimized.
This is where we have to acknowledge how embedded the symptom-centered model is in our healthcare culture. We're used to getting a pill for everything. If we have a headache, we reach for a pain reliever. If we have reflux, we grab acid suppressants. If we're sad, we consider antidepressants. Many people think this is the best path to health. But as we've seen, rates of chronic illness suggest otherwise.
From Dr. Mercola's perspective, if you truly want to heal, you must support your body's natural processes by digging into the root cause. If the problem is related to poor diet or toxicity, it should be addressed at that level. This might mean changes in your daily meals, incorporating nutrient-dense foods, or avoiding certain environmental toxins. It could also involve reevaluating stress levels and improving sleep quality.
And as people start addressing core metabolic and cellular dysfunctions, they often find that formerly high blood sugar levels normalize, or cholesterol levels balance on their own. They also may experience improved emotional well-being. That's because the body is no longer fighting an uphill battle against underlying inflammation, poor diet, or other stressors.
The bottom line is this: the current healthcare model has resulted in more chronic disease, not less. Being on multiple medications has become the norm, but it hasn't improved overall health statistics. Dr. Mercola argues that the real wake-up call is recognizing that it's time to move beyond treating symptoms alone.
Yes, and that wake-up call is an invitation to question routine prescriptions, especially long-term ones. It's about rethinking whether some medications are truly needed, whether they were only intended as temporary solutions, and whether lifestyle changes or targeted therapies can eliminate the need for certain drugs entirely.
I think many people are discouraged because they assume that once they're put on something like statins or antidepressants, it's a life sentence. But Dr. Mercola's insights suggest that with proper support, you can, in many cases, reduce or eliminate some drugs. Of course, this typically requires working closely with a health professional who understands how to optimize cellular health rather than just control symptoms.
The real aim should be to restore the body to a balanced state where medication is not a permanent fixture. Support the body's natural ability to heal by addressing issues at their source. Ask critical questions like, why is my cholesterol high? Why am I having persistent reflux? Why am I dependent on antidepressants to feel normal? Getting to the root is more challenging than handing over a prescription, but it's the only way to achieve long-term well-being.
Before we close, let's emphasize that the purpose of this discussion is not to disparage all medications. Some are life-saving in acute situations, and others can be helpful when used temporarily. The real issue arises when we overlook the body's innate capacity to recover, and instead rely solely on drugs as a permanent crutch.
Absolutely. Chronic illnesses don't develop overnight, and they can't always be reversed overnight either. But a proactive, root cause approach offers real hope. By optimizing cellular health through nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management, you target the foundational causes of chronic conditions rather than simply quieting symptoms.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and with me has been Alara Sky. We hope this discussion helps you see why medications alone are often not the answer, and how a deeper, more integrative approach can open the door to lasting health.
Thank you, Ethan, and thank you to everyone listening. We encourage you to take these insights to heart. While conventional medicine has its place, understanding why the symptom-first model can trap people in cycles of chronic disease is crucial for making informed decisions. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.